You know, when we create, when we storytell, a lot of us, we always get so bogged down with, I don't know how they're going to receive it. Is it going to be received the right way? Then we forget to ask yourself, how are we receiving it? How is it making us feel? Not that, oh, this is a good word. Like, whew. There's this word, sedulous. It's just been popping up a lot on my phone. I'm like, oh, sedulous. What does it mean? I forget. It means somebody that shows diligence in like their work ethic. Sedulous. But like we don't use that in everyday language. Anyways, the point of that is that sometimes we like, oh yeah, that's a good ass word, or yeah, this act structure is like, and the twist at the end, it's what sells. Okay, those are elements that could work to make a good story. But how are we telling it? How are we painting it? How are we conducting it? Who am I? I have like 10 views. Music. Welcome to me and my imaginary friends. I'm glad you're here. The Social Network is a movie that has, the dialogue is so pop, like it's so fast and it's intentional. It's fast, it's clipped, it's like jazz. And it has beats in the truest sense in the dialogue. Quick exchanges, repetition, and the silence used before tension. The pacing mimics a high tempo of music. Think drums and snare, staccato piano, restless energy. Again, they are saying, good exposition and whatnot, but it's less about that and more about when and how it is said. Think of your favorite line of dialogue or prose. Your favorite line of dialogue doesn't just sound good. It resonates with you because you remember it like you remember lyrics. Have you seen those videos where like somebody shows like, oh, this is my grandma, they have Alzheimer's, but then they play music and they remember it. Music sticks with us. Sonic stimulation and scent are like the two things I know that really stick with us for quite some time. My cousin is a fragrance specialist, so scent is definitely a very big part of my life now because of her. So thank you, Eudora. AA. So your favorite dialogue, it flows, it lands because of those reasons. Think Hemingway, think Baldwin, think Tarantino, think Issa Rae, think Ava DuVernay, think anybody that is a creator. They all sound different. They vibrate different. And I'm heading somewhere with this because that ties directly to voice. Now, if we say things are musical, and if we're storytellers, oral, voice is a very important element of that musicality. Voice of self, the creator, plus voice of the message, the art, equals the product, which is then received by your audience through their own, obviously, lens. We all need to find our inner metronome so that we can musically articulate what we have to say in words or audibly or in life. I mentioned something about being contradictory, how I said that first, think about how does this make me feel, right? When you're about to tell a story, we get bogged down in what other people think, but how does it make me feel? Now in life, yes, we do need to consider how it makes, okay. So maybe in life, it's how does this make me feel? And how, through the language of the soul, emotion, how can I make this resonate with the listener, the audience. We can't neglect self, but we shouldn't neglect the output of story as well. So in life, I definitely think that there's a good balance between knowing your voice and the musicality of how you tell, how you communicate with the person, your loved ones, or your enemy. If we have enemies, I don't have enemies. Do you have enemies? I don't even have a friend except for you, Chelsea. And everyone else that's listening. Thank you for listening. But no, I don't have enemies or friends. I would like a friend. Truly. I would really, 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 really like a friend. I never thought of that, Blushy. I never thought about you not having a friend. Like, I'm your friend, but I understand that you want another kind of friend. Because then how are you going to have dialogue when I'm not here? Well, that makes me very sad now. Okay, well, let's find you a friend, Blushy. Let's find Blushy a friend, please. I want to read 2 written works. One called Misery by Stephen King, published 1987. The genre is a psychological thriller or horror. It got nominated for the Bram Stoker Award for Best Novel in 1987, and it was adapted into an Academy Award-winning film in 1990. Now, the way Stephen King illustrates this character is very interesting. He throws away certain, I guess, technical rules, which again, you learn the rules so you can break them. I'm going to read a little excerpt. This is an unpunctuated stream of consciousness that kind of goes on for a bit of quite a bit of time. And I'm going to try to read it in the manner that he wrote at as. So I might run out of breath reading this, but that is the point. It goes, she was totally crazy, he thought, totally crazy, just like all those people in the old tales who lived in the woods and were just a little bit off and lived in old houses with 1,000 cats and did magic spells and could call the rain and turn children into pies and pigs. But she didn't look crazy. She looked like someone's mother or someone's grandmother. And it just goes on. No punctuation. But it works because King is portraying Paul Sheldon's hallucinatory mental states under the influence of pain and drugs and fear. It's like a narrative meltdown. It literally is a narrative meltdown. And the lack of punctuations means no breath. You're trapped in the narrator's mind, spiraling with him. It's fast, no pauses, like a drummer, like that. Like, what's that? It's like it creates a sense of panic and claustrophobia and loss of control. And you feel it with the character so viscerally. And that's one, right? And now let's go to another. The Road by Cormac McCarthy. Now, this was published 2006. It's a post-apocalyptic literary fiction. It actually won the Pulitzer Prize for fiction 2007. Now, I really like just the way it was written because It's almost prayer-like, very sparse. I'll read an excerpt. He lay listening to the water drip in the woods. Bedrock, this. The cold and the silence. The ashes of the late world carried on the bleak and temporal winds to and fro in the void, carried forth and scattered and carried forth again. Everything uncoupled from its shoring, unsupported in the ashen air, sustained by a breath, trembling and brief. If only my heart were stone. He woke before dawn and watched the grey day break, slow and half opaque. It reads like a minimalist symphony in like a minor key. The road is set in a scorched, ash-covered America where there's this like unnamed catastrophic event that blocks out the sun, and all the crops are dead, and most of life is gone, and the world is cold and gray and gloomy and dark and lifeless. The author uses, Cormac McCarthy, the author uses white spaces like breath. The rhythm mimics the exhaustion, the mourning of, what we're experiencing. I'm going to read one from my book that I'm working on, the ones before. And I will change their names just so that it's not like a massive spoiler. And I mean this for like the 12 people that have read my written work or the book so far. I don't want to spoil it. There were 2 dead bodies in the dim hut. One lay lifeless on the mat of woven palm. Ben, pale and too still. The other was on its knees, moving its fingers over Ben's fine clothes, as though it had life within it. But it didn't. Not truly. Abby, or at least the body she once wore as hers, felt like an empty husk that moved of its own volition. Nothing moved within it. Nothing stirred its beating heart. Yet its chest rose and fell, and from its eyes poured an endless stream of tears. The length of our sentences help with a tempo, with a pacing. When we look at screenplays, I would say, The Handmaid's Tale does a very good job at that. The very beginning scene, like season 1, episode 1, I think, like very like early on, is the pilot. Exterior, Maine, country road day. A road curves through the Maine countryside. A car appears, driving too fast. It swerves, fishtails, then skids off the road. The car bounces across a grassy pasture and stops. The engine revs. The wheels spin, but the car doesn't move. Luke, 27, former hipster, jumps out, looks under the car. The wheels are buried in the soft ground. June, 28, gets out, carelessly pretty. On a normal day, she's feisty and capable, but today, she's fighting panic. She leans into the backseat, pulls out Hannah. The 3-year-old is scared, crying a bit. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Very fast, short words, short sentences. We get the gist, we get the points. This is some chase. There's something going on. They're running. They're out of breath. I can feel it. I can hear it. I can see it. I can almost even smell it. Now, another one I would say, which is quite the opposite of, like, this is screenplays. All Quiet on the Western Front. You can probably notice that I'm very giddy about this. I love it. I'm nerding out. Okay, this is one. I could read the first page. All Quiet on the Western Front. It won the Oscars for, I don't know, best cinematography. Don't quote me on that. I think 2 years ago. Again, don't quote me on that. But I love it. I love the movie. It was also a book first, so I haven't read the book. So, Exterior, Woods, France, 1917, dawn. Softly lapping water, a creek running over roots. grass swaying in the stream, ferns slowly rustle in the wind. Thump. A pine cone falls on the ground. Another one, and another one. A peaceful, mild spring morning. Peaceful. Low rumble of thunder in the distance. It's very quiet. Too quiet. You see how like the words, the sentences are also pretty short in some, I mean, screenplay is different from books because like it's currency. Words are literally, words are literally, literally, ugh. Words are literally literature. Mama, help me. I don't know what I'm saying. Say it with me, Chelsea. Literally. 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 Yes, exactly. Just like that. Literally. Okay. I forgot the word. I forgot what I was trying to say with all this back and forth. But all I'm trying to say is do not overwrite, do not overthink. Let yourself feel. Let yourself explore. Let yourself find the emotion and then play the music of that emotion, web it through your writing. When I'm writing, I don't know about you, but I have like it's a playlist called the writing playlist. It helps actually get me there a bit faster. If I know like, okay, this scene is a chase scene, I get something that's very high pace, fast pace, intensity, and I just repeat it. And most of the songs that on my playlist are songs that don't have lyrics or words because I just want to hear the instruments so I can then find the words for myself and put them in there. So I encourage you, if you don't write with music, you should. It helps. Let your characters hold their breath. Let the readers also hold their breath. Instead of having somebody, again, this goes writing and real life, but instead of having somebody say, you know, if we have context and backstory, instead of having a character say, I love you, he said desperately, tears spilling from his eyes as he reached for her. Maybe. Try. He opened his mouth, closed it. She didn't need him to say it. Not this time. Tears rolled down his face as he reached for her and embraced her. I mean, both work. But sometimes ask yourself, am I trying to... I'm about to catch myself in this language, web of language. Am I trying to tell the audience? Or am I trying to show the audience? And I think that's where really the music comes, because the music isn't the experience of it, it's in the showing of it. So don't literally tell me, oh yeah, he know, like we know, if we have watched up or read up until this point, we know that he loves her. She knows that he loves her. Everybody is in awareness of this impassioned love for her. How do we allow ourselves to feel what the character is feeling when he's about to declare it? Especially if we know like the character, the personalities and stuff. How do we show the depth of his love? Or the moment of pure vulnerability versus us just spoon feeding our audience, our viewers. Because sometimes silence is the loudest sound. You know, like when you're mad at somebody or upset, and you just like, it's the worst kind, especially when you're a kid and your parents just come to you like, ah, you know, they're mad and they're screaming, what have you done? Da, da, da. Sorry, you know, African home here. What have you done? Are you okay? You know, and all that. Versus you know you messed up and they come and they just look at you. And then walk away. Can you please come back and shout at me? Because what? Now I'm like, oh my gosh, wait, no. Like, silence is a very powerful tool in public speaking, in communication with your friends and family, in writing, in singing, in music, in life. We are all chasing the final silence. Not intentionally. That's just the way life is. We are walking towards the final notes of life, which is death. And I don't know why I'm saying that with this happy or smiley face. It's not like I'm not excited about that, but and it's the loudest sound. Death. Oh my God. It is earth shattering. And if we can see how colossal that sound is on a macro scale, if we condense that to our little written work, it's the same concept. So instead of saying, hey, I don't like what you did, it made me very upset. Hey, I don't like what you did. It made me very upset. Right. We're feeling it. Right. And obviously there's a time and place for everything. There's a time and place for that. There's a time and place for the attack. There's a time and place for the placidity. I used to think that creative silence meant I'd lost something. You know, we call it writer's block, or I'm in a slump and I just can't produce or create like I wanted to. I have this moments of like hyperfixation. I just like, when I have it, I am like unhealthy for like 2 weeks, and I would work so hard in those 2 weeks and do 3 months worth of work in that. And then I crash, and I'm like, the next 3 months, I'm like, oh my God, I can't even think about anything. That's called ADHD. Just saying. Excuse you. I am not diagnosed with that, so we wouldn't call it that. But my point is, I've come to realize that silence is a necessary part of creation. When we breathe, there's silence in the inhale right before the exhale, a moment of becoming. And sometimes you need that silence to hear what the next line is going to be in life. If you're going through a season of doubt, fear, sometimes being in that moment of silence, in that the slowness of life, everything is kind of feels like it's stagnant. I'm not moving. That is a great signal to listen, because in that silence is the loudest message. If we're able to feel as we write, we allow ourselves to lead with the musicality of life, to mirror life in writing. The act of writing, and to step back a little bit, the act of living is to listen to the world, to our hearts, to the things around us, and to the rhythm that makes us all human. So if you have a work, look back. If you have things that you've written, and when you're revising or editing, feel the rhythm, read it out loud. Read things out loud, actually. That helps a lot. Music reveals emotion. If you don't feel it, then it's not there. And the voice is melody. So how is your voice as an artist in this piece of work? In life, my voice right now is me. That's my signature. It's if someone spoke, they didn't have this voice. Right now, this is my voice, and this is mine. And so if Blushy speaks, you know that's Blushy. If I speak, you know it's me. two different people. Blushy sounding like me is just gonna be weird, and me sound like Blushy is just also gonna be weird. It's not the same voice. So that is the melody of your writing. What is your voice? What does your voice sound like as an artist? And you can actually explore that question when you read across all your written work. What is the theme? How do you write? What's the language like? What's the prose like? What's the tempo like? I mean, those things can change depending on the genre, of course. If you're writing a comedy, or dialogue for comedy, or writing dialogue for like a tragic drama, like it's very different pacing. But the same topic can tonally be different depending on how you use the musical elements or instruments, emotional instruments in your writing. Your voice as a writer is the sonic texture of your own truth visible on a page. Every story we tell is a song that only we can write. We try to sound like other people at times, and we forget the power of authenticity. There is no other person on this earth, and I feel like I say this quite a lot, on this earth, you alone. But there is literally no other person on this earth that is you. Like, there's no human being on this earth that is you. You are one of a kind. One in 8 billion. What? That's how unique I am? Yes, that's how unique we all are. So why try to sound like somebody else? Ew. Like, no. You are starving the world of your own authenticity. So be yourself. Tell the story from your lens, because no one has the experience you have in life, internally. Everything, all the building blocks of your experiences from the moment you were born to now is what has made you you. So when you create art, content creation is art, by the way. So even if you're a content creator, when you create art, how are you showing up as the truest version of yourself in those spaces? Use your real tone, don't elevate it. Like, however you sound that way. I remember when I was trying to like build this podcast. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm quite offbeat sometimes. To be fair, I am taming it down for this because I'm like, I need y'all to take me seriously. But like, I talk to myself a lot. Me and my imaginary friends. The name came about because I will literally spend 3 hours. It will feel like 3 minutes, but I'll be talking to myself. I would talk to myself, have an argument, because I debate with myself. I'm like, oh wait, but this doesn't make sense. And then I rebuttal. I'm like, no, actually, but this makes more sense. And then some random person in the audience shoots up and is like, actually, and then they give their opinion and I'm listening. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And then I'm like, hearing your point of view, I take back what I said, because now I'm seeing this other side. And then before you know it, 3 hours has literally gone, and I'm sitting or standing and just staring at a corner like that. I'm weird. I'm gonna embrace it. I'm freaking weird. And I do voices, and all of that. So I really was trying to find the accurate branding for this podcast, because they're not like imaginary. I don't have names in my head, except, Blushy is real, so that's not imaginary. He exists right here. I didn't even know blush was a guy till today. Look at that. Wonderful. So yeah, so the branding. And I know I've been writing since I was a child. I used to write like really short stories when like desktop computers first came out, and like write it down, and I go sell to like my dad and his friends for like the equivalent of like what 50 cents is, and I'll get it and I'll be like, yay, I made money, and then I'll never find the money again once I give it to my mom. And then I'm like, how do I, present myself on camera? And I was talking to my siblings, and that just be you, just be you. And they have to remind me, like, just be you, because being in front of a camera is really weird. There's no better depiction of me talking to imaginary people than when you're in real life sitting down in front of a camera and just speaking to this 3 dotted lens. If you look at the back of your camera, the 3 circles iPhone, it has and then it has like little dimples. So fun. There are 1,000,001 podcasts out there, and I'm really trying not to be anyone but me. So, and I know that the moment I allow myself to be as radically authentically as radically as radically authentic as I am, I would hopefully, this is my hope, I would attract the right audience that hopefully what I say resonates with them. And also they don't like look at me like, oh, this girl's like too weird for me. It's, there are a couple things here that are a bit offbeat. And I'm going to turn up the temperature once I am very comfortable. So buckle up, okay? How do you find your voice? Honor your natural inflections. If it doesn't sound like you when you read it out loud, then it's not you. Go back and rewrite until it sounds like you. It should resonate with you in your chest. And then ask yourself, read your past. Do I write with heat, with calm, with pizzazz? Am I a comedy writer? Again, you could be anything you want to be. You could be versatile. I'm also a very big, firm believer that you could be a walking paradox. I think it's quite nice to be a paradox. But find your bass note. What do I sound like when I write? I'm in a writing group and I'm still kind of new, like pushing over a year now, but I've gone for 2 writing retreats, and we have like writing competitions. Never won, but that's besides the point. We read them blindly and we don't know who wrote them, or anonymously, I'd say. And they always ask if you can guess who wrote what. For some reason, every time, I think twice, I have gotten the highest vote of them guessing that I wrote that piece. And I'm like, am I that obvious? Is my voice of writing that obvious? Yeah, it was just something interesting I noted. I was like, okay, cool. So find your vocal range. You could be dynamic, but find your bass note. And our voice shows up in what we return to again and again and again. So look at your themes, your rhythms, the type of characters you gravitate towards when you write, the type of protagonist or antagonist you like to paint, the tone or the genre you always write in. In that, you would find your voice. Storytelling is in everything. It is in our day-to-day interactions with people, is in our pitching our idea to those investors, is in our conversing with that loved one, is in our talking to the clerk. It's creating whatever artwork you're creating. It's the politicians on screen telling their stories, lawyers telling their stories. This world is about who is the best storyteller. Whatever, look at it, whatever division or demographic or industry you're in, how good of a storyteller are you? We are all, especially creators, because we have the tool, the instrument that outlasts us, that would live on forever, which is like the most beautiful thing. We are conductors of emotion, of attention, of time. And we have to be very skilled at how we use that currency. But as always, you are the conductor of your own life. turn your back on the audience. And also, I'm going to leave you with this question. What story are you telling the world today? And more importantly, what story are you telling yourself? Thank you for spending time with me and my imaginary friends. Until the next episode, good morning. Good morning.